Welcome to part 2 of the 90s. We're back. We left you last week, but we left ourselves about 10 minutes ago and floated off to
Neverland.
So, yeah, Neverland. But we're back and we're going to carry on from where we left off. So we left off last week with fashion. We're going to move swiftly into the music of the 90s. So what I've got here to start the conversation, which I'll run through pretty quickly, even though I've put the track listings in case anyone wanted to know what tracks were on the albums, is the top 5 UK selling albums of the 90s, which I think might be some surprises. Actually, let's just go around the table and just ask each person for one thing that you will think will be on there. Let's go clockwise.
What's the story, Morning Glory?
Okay.
Don't know the name of the album, but it's the Prodigy Firestarter.
Oh, Fat Lad.
Fadlan.
I don't really know, to be honest. Just say like Britney Spears or something basic.
Okay.
Could well be.
Such a basic bitch.
I love Britney though.
None of us said Spice Girls, which is not my taste. But
Speaking of basic bitches, number 5, Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette, possibly the least basic.
That was massive.
It was huge. So I'll just pick out some of the big tracks from that. You ought to know. Ironic. Hand in My Pocket.
Don't diss Ironic. It's ironic that the song
Isn't
no
not
irony.
ironic. Yeah, full circle.
Do you think she was going for that?
Yes. Absolutely.
I wasn't into. I loved in my kind of edgy 90s, coming off of Nirvana, relaxing a little bit more into the poppy world. I loved Hand in My Pocket, because I remember seeing the video on MTV and I was like, this girl is almost grunge. And then Ironic came out and I was like, oh god. So I never bought the album, even though
I didn't buy that.
I like All I Really Want, I think, is one of the other songs.
Oh yeah, it's a good one.
And You Learn, You Live, You Learn. She's exactly like that. I actually just played the sound. That was just the music. I didn't even, like
You learn.
You Love. So yeah, I wasn't as into it but it really surprised me when I got to the 2000s and people, especially then working in a music shop, and like someone would pick it out to play and people be like, oh man, I love this album, I like lost my copy, it's like my favorite album.
Yeah.
It really surprised me. And speaking of things that surprised me, number 4, Talk on Corners by The Cause.
No, God.
Top selling albums of the 1990s in the UK.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a definition of easy listening, wasn't it? It had mass market appeal.
It was the Mum album of the 90s.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Oh, actually, it was one of the Mum night albums of the 90s.
The Chords, it was a staple through, because I did performing arts at college. That's what the music teachers would get us to sing as chorus songs, would be Cause.
Musically sound. I mean, it's mediocre, middle of the road pop music. I shouldn't say mediocre. I can't say that without being a musician. But like, so some of the tracks again, I don't know.
Were Cause like Westlife?
Oh, God.
Did they do a lot of covers?
I don't know which ones were.
Because they did do some covers.
No, because it was like Irish folk music inflected, wasn't it?
Well, there's a track on there which, kind of funnily enough, track number 3 on this track listing I've got is Dreams, which is a cover of
Jimi Hendrix.
Mac.
It's Fleetwood.
They did Little Wing.
Little Wing.
That's the Jimi Hendrix one, which is the last track. But Dreams was only on the re-release of the album. So I think they released it after all of this was popular.
Talk on Corners Special Edition.
1998.
Yeah, that was in my house.
I can read out the tracks and see if anyone remembers them. So Only When I Sleep.
Yep, remember that.
Uh-oh.
I don't.
You're a closet Cause fan. No, I'll tell you why. It's because exactly what you said. I think my mum had it, and I think it was just on in the background.
When He's Not Around. What Can I Do? Oh no, what can I do? I recognise that one. What
It was
can I do
remixed.
to make you
Oh,
love
of course,
me?
And it was
yeah.
it was remixed as well, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
That's a good song.
Wasn't it remixed by themselves?
No, there was, I don't know, memory's failing me, but there was another version of it which is, I'm going to say slightly edgier, but I mean, we're talking about The Cause here, so it's like...
as I'm looking at them, I'm not recognising them, but I think as I say them out, and especially in my head, like I Never Loved You Anyway, I think I recognise that one as well. I don't know how it goes. I won't play it. So Young, Don't Say You Love Me, Love Gives, Love Takes, Hopelessly Addicted. Paddy McCarthy, but that was an instrumental, so I don't expect anyone to remember that one. Intimacy, Queen of Hollywood, No Good for Me. So I guess it was just not our market. Number 3 is Spice by the Spice Girls. Which
You called it, Tim. You were there. You said no one mentioned the Spice Girls.
No, it's inevitable, really. It was there, wasn't it? I mean, again, not my music, but it was a phenomenon.
I think...
I farted. I'm so sorry.
Was that how you farted? I thought you just scraped your chair across the floor.
No, that was my ass.
You scraped your ass across the floor.
One mention of the Spice Girls and you drop your guts.
I think just go back to the cause. I just think that's one of those background ones. If it comes on, you'll know it. But it's not going to jump out to you. So Spice by the Spice Girls, just full of seminal tracks. And just interestingly, I only owned one of these 5 albums as someone who had like the musical awakening in the 90s.
I didn't own a single one of those.
Tim looks offended.
No, I'm just wondering which one he owned.
Well,
Spice.
No, of the whole list. Okay. So there's still 2 more to go after this.
Oh, okay.
So I don't really need to do the tracks. You'll know the tracks. Wanna Be, Say You'll Be There, To Become One, Mama. Who do you think you are?
One of the final 3 songs of Madison's.
If it comes on the radio, I'm singing along to the... I don't care. I'll unashamedly sort of say that.
It's peak pop. Like, it's just like it's hard to run down because it is exactly what it is. It's pop.
It's also when I had MTV and I think probably VH1 were the 2 channels at the time.
Yeah.
And because you didn't have streaming music or anything like that, if you're going to sit and watch a music channel, you had those 2.
Yeah.
So you can't, if you're sat there watching music and drinking beers in the afternoon, sometimes you watch the Spice Girls because they would be on every...
And then sometimes your dick's in your hand and,
and your mates are like, dude, we said this 3 times now.
Right, I'm going to ask, we're going to go around the table.
Here we go. I know.
Yeah, you know it's coming.
Yeah.
Which Spice Girl? Which was your favourite?
It changed.
All right, let's go for your first. What was your first?
Posh.
Really?
Okay.
Controversial.
Mark?
I'm super ashamed of this now because it's Scary Spice. Because she is horrific. She's a horrific person. She probably was then, and I didn't know it.
Is she? I didn't know this.
She was, but let's just say that she had the best looks. She did have the best looks.
Holly, what was yours?
I like Baby Spice.
Mine was Jerry.
Jerry Halliwell.
Yeah, I like the redhead. Yeah. What did you change to, Tim?
I think I then went through a Jerry phase.
Yes, good man.
Ginger Spice.
Do you know why I went for Jerry? Because I found out that she'd done topless work before she joined the Spice Girls.
Yeah, I remember. I remember when.
And then I found those pictures, and then I put them in my bedroom, and I hid them under other posters, and I had posters that were folded in half, and I could unfold those posters, and behind those posters were topless Jerry.
Elaborate. This is so intricate.
It was a good setup. Yeah.
Imagine if someone slammed the door. Your mum was hoovering in your bedroom. She slammed the door and all the posters just unfolded. It was like Batman pressing a button, like opening up the Batcave.
This is back in the days when porn was inaccessible, and I'd have to print out pictures and put them into a folder.
Woe is
to
you.
have because I couldn't buy porn mags and couldn't just. It was
an
hard work, man.
folder, like a ring binder.
I had a folder. I had a folder of porn, and it was sorted out by letters as well.
Oh no, it was not.
Lesbian. No.
if we were still doing like the kind of made up titles for the episodes, this would definitely be called Craig's folder of porn.
My folder of porn was great,
but it would work out because everyone would go, "Oh, he's got a Windows folder. That's nothing." And then when they get to the bit of the episode, a real folder, ring bind, laminated, of course.
Craig's freaky Filofax.
Oh, if a Filofax would be brilliant.
A Filofax of porn.
How did we do the whole 80s about talking about Filofax?
Amazing. Craig, just technical point. Your 2 beers that are at the same, both open at the same level there.
It looks like you might be double parked.
I am double parked at the moment. I don't know what's happened. I've ended up with 2 beers at the same level in their bottles.
Okay, that's fine.
I finished my gin and G Fuel.
Okay.
Sipping on gin and G Fuel. What can I do?
There's not much. Well, I drink one, I guess.
I'll drink.
but, yeah.
I'll drink.
Drink the one
You
that's
got a
slightly warmer.
strawpedo. Strawpedo, that's 90s.
That was 90s.
It is 90s, but then it came back in the 2010s as some kind of magic trick for teenagers on YouTube. Like, how did he do that? Really? When people our age are like,
There's a straw in it, you dick.
are you being like ironic or something? No, how did he do that? That's amazing. How did he down it like that? Oh, for fuck's sake.
Okay, so we
So
got
Spice Girls, I think, we all can't really deny that being one of the albums. Now, on the flip side, number 2, Stars by Simply Red.
Oh, my days.
Mums were buying albums in bulk in this decade.
Lordy.
This is
really.
when parents had control of what music was bought.
Yeah.
Nowadays, pardon me, like, you've got an iTunes. I'm sure every kid now has got an iTunes account and they can just buy what they want.
Well, there's multiples in it. It's like Google Play.
Yeah.
But Spotify is probably the more prevalent.
Stuff like that. Well, back when I wanted to buy an album, my mum had to drive me to Argos so I could go into the shop with
then-
the pocket money that she'd given me.
And then they'd
So
be
then
like,
I
why
could-
the fuck are you here? We don't sell
Yeah.
albums. Go to our price. Filled out the form and everything.
Maybe that it.
The Cause and Simply Red in the top 5 of the 90s.
That's
There's
terrible.
so much
but-
great music.
It says a lot about I tried to find I wanted the global one because I had a feeling this kind of thing would happen. I wanted to find the global one. I couldn't find it. I nearly, just after looking at this, I nearly went to the American one, but it doesn't reflect our culture, I guess.
No,
So-
because back then that's where it was very. 90s would have been very split over
very
the, over,
different.
over the pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So
That was back when films were released months before they were released in the UK. You know, it was
what I'm going to
terrible.
do is I'm going to go at the end. I'm going to go down the list and just tell you some of the things that missed out that
Yeah.
we that we assume would have been there or possibly should have. But Simply Red.
Oh God, it hurts me.
The only thing. Something's got me started. I recognise that.
Yeah.
And Thrill Me.
Roller coaster?
No, that was later on.
No, Fairground. Sorry.
yeah.
Fairground was on roller. No, wait.
Stars is the big one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
know
that was a massive hit.
Wait,
What was it from? Was it Notting Hill? Or
Far from the stars.
oh, okay, yeah, I think I know that one.
yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Mick Hucknall / Simply Red is the most mum music you have ever heard in your entire life. Right, I'll tell you what. I'll play it and I'll do that thing that I said about.
He's going to play it, and the sound quality is going to be mint.
It's just going to be me humming it.
Crisp. Just cut to.
I think you'll find that it was almost.
Oh God! I've started it. It was a lot louder than I was expecting. Sorry, carry on your point.
I was going to say you're not going to be able to tell the difference between what I did and what's going to be played.
No,
It's
that's
pretty much
right, yeah.
Identical.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to try and find the chorus quickly. Right. So, I'm now going to play the chorus.
Minute, can't you see that I wanna fall from the stars straight into your arms?
Yes, I know this. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I'll splice that in. So yeah, that's about the biggest song on that album. But there are other ones that you would probably recognise as being in the background of some 90s romantic comedy, I guess.
Yeah.
That is from either Four Weddings and a Funeral, Notting Hill, or like Love Actually, or something. Stars. It's from a big British comedy film. Number one is actually no surprise, and probably the only one that we would all agree with being, well, definitely should be on here, which is What's the Story? Morning Glory by Oasis.
Yeah.
Which the singles that everyone will know are Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger.
Yeah.
Some might say.
Controversial point. Wonderwall is probably my least favourite song on the album.
I think for nearly everyone, Wonderwall became smashed to pieces.
Do you know
over
what I
the
don't
years.
like about it? It's the long note held in the chorus. I find it very difficult to sing along to.
I think, yeah. So if you take, like, there were quite a few singles, and also the story with the Oasis singles is that every single had 2 minimum absolute A-list banging B-sides that then became an album that was just as good as
B-sides
every
were
single one.
incredible,
I got
weren't
a
they?
thing about B-sides.
Wonderwall B-sides were Master Plan and Round Our Way.
Oh, stop.
Did you know that Ice Ice Baby was a B-side that was accidentally played on the radio by a DJ?
No.
And then people were like, this song's awesome.
Yeah, right.
And then suddenly that
Funny thing is,
became
though,
the song.
I wonder if, like, revisionist history, like, if they're like some kind of tampering time machine thing, if you could go back and go, don't use Under Pressure because they're going to sue you. So he uses something different and see what the course of history, because I think most of that song's popularity exists from the amazing bass riff. Yeah. And that tiny, that simple ding, ding, like, you know, the whole of Under
agree.
Pressure. And then the rap is just the rap. But like without that, you've got nothing.
Yeah.
Did you remember any of the lyrics?
Stop.
Collaborate and listen.
listen.
Ice is back in a brand new something. Something grabbed a hold of me tightly. Flow like a harpoon. Daily and nightly.
Yeah.
Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know.
Turn off the lights and
And
I'll blow. To the extreme, I rock a mic like a vandal. Light up a fuse and I'll jump like a candle.
He came.
This is one of my... I remember this from a
This
previous
is cheating.
that you knew all the lyrics to it. Yeah.
It's my white man rap music.
I think
I don't know all the way through, but
I
I
did
can.
alright, I'm prepared.
Yeah, you did. You did.
I had an Out Here Brothers one. That was the lyrics I remembered from a weird song.
I don't think we've given Morning Glory its due credit yet, though. We haven't finished talking about that.
Yeah. So,
Backtrack.
but yeah, just if you look at just the singles. So it was Roll With It, Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger. Some might say, and Champagne Supernova. Although Champagne Supernova wasn't a single in this country, it was only in America.
They also made a video for What's Story Morning Glory as well.
Yes. Those songs alone are still probably now just as popular. You hear Don't Look Back in Anger all the time.
Yeah.
I really like that song.
It's a good closing out song in a
Yeah.
nightclub.
I think it made me quite emotional after the Manchester bombing, and then there was like that video of everyone singing it at the memorial. That was very touching.
It slipped into iconic status, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Timeless. You know, when we grew up knowing certain Beatles songs, even though that wasn't our era, you put, I think it's fair to say that Don't Look Back in Anger has reached that category.
Yeah.
Do you think they will ever get back together?
Not if
Not that my way.
I mean, they're always fighting over. Well, I mean, Liam is always having to go over Twitter.
Yeah,
but
Noel did an interview recently where he highlighted some comments that Liam had made about his kids.
You don't go for the kids.
That's what Noel said.
Right.
He said, like,
I don't know a lot about Oasis. Obviously, I was born later in the decade, so like Mark was saying, I grew up in the noughties. Why, as they are brothers, can they not just come together?
Yeah, but Tim hates his brother because he supports another football team.
But what happens? What happens?
So basically,
I don't hate you, Rob.
the real kind of bullet points of it are that when they were growing up, Noel was an introvert who spent most of his time in his bedroom.
Yeah.
And he taught himself how to play guitar and how to write songs. Did that. And then his brother was like, I'll have a go at that as well.
Okay.
Got to the, like, they were like, he was the front man. And then everyone thought of Liam Gallagher as Oasis when Noel was doing all of the work. And then as time went on, Liam stopped doing as much work and he would just turn up, sing up to his microphone up in the heavens. And then Noel would do all the work, and like, whilst he would get the credit, Liam was like ruining the band.
Oh, okay.
There was like a really famous, where they probably should have broken up, where they were supposed to be doing an MTV Unplugged, and Liam just didn't turn up. And so Noel did the whole thing. It was absolutely incredible because Noel sung all of Liam's songs.
Yeah.
And Liam sat up in the balcony,
He was
pissed as a
there,
fart,
wasn't he?
just like laughing at him the whole time. They're just
my God.
it's sibling rivalry to the nth
Yeah.
degree. They just hate each other. It's just that simple. Like they grew up different as teenagers,
Yeah.
as brothers, and it just bled through. And like they're both incredibly strong alpha female. They've both got strong femurs.
I've always sided with Noel. Always.
Really?
I hate Liam. I think he's a prick.
Because
Has
I
anyone seen the
didn't
documentary recently about Liam?
know.
No.
He's very sympathetic
Because I didn't know.
To who? To Noel or
to Liam.
To Liam. No,
But then I think it was commissioned
To
by
me,
Liam. So.
to you.
no. It's always 90s Chuckle Brothers. That's later.
Yeah,
No,
later.
no, it's not. I think Wikipedia's down, by the way, just so I can't even go into what the other things are.
we go
I was just gonna,
Holly,
I was
Holly.
just gonna say, from an outsider perspective, I always thought that like Noel was just like the prickly one who couldn't get over it because I didn't know a lot about it, but I didn't know that it was like a lot of Liam because Liam has more internet presence nowadays, but Noel Gallagher doesn't.
They're both on the grand scale of like one like nice person to assholes. They're both quite lower down, but Noel is the intelligent one.
Noel's more passive aggressive.
But he
I
still
think.
says things stupid. He still says stupid things like
Yeah.
constantly, like all the time. But like we move on from Oasis because I've got Wikipedia to launch. It didn't actually crash.
Okay.
It might have been the iPad.
Go on.
I'm not going to touch on any other album that I don't think should be there,
Where's
apart
Blur?
from the fact that number 6 on the 1990s best-selling albums in the UK was Robson and Jerome. Robson and Jerome.
I
That
believe that every
So
drop of rain.
I can't remember his name, but the guy in Game of Thrones.
Jerome.
Yeah, what?
Wasn't-
His
Jorah.
name's-
No, his
No.
character name I think Mark's referring to. Not,
Yeah.
Yeah. He was.
The guy
Oh, wait.
who the only thing I can remember is he gets put in prison when he goes to try and take the sands.
Bronn.
Bronn, yeah.
Bronn.
He
yes.
is Jerome from Robson and Jerome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was married to Lena Headey at one point.
Oh, I did not know that.
And then apparently they had such a bad divorce that, like, for the first few seasons on Game of Thrones, it was like they couldn't even be in the same area because they wanted to kill
I'm
each
going to say
other.
that's more mum music than Mick
Yeah.
Hucknall.
I
the,
will.
The Robson and Jerome.
I think
Yes.
it's gonna say a lot
That's
about.
3 out of the top 6.
It's gonna say a lot about what I actually read out. You can read more into what I don't read out about how dominated the top 20 is by mum music. Okay, so things that missed out: Queen Greatest Hits number 2.
Yes.
Bearing in mind that Queen's Greatest Hits number 1 is the top-selling UK album of all time.
My mum had both of those.
Awesome.
Automatic for the People by R.E.M., Dangerous by Michael Jackson, and I'll just throw this in there, I've Been Expecting You by Robbie Williams. Those are the only ones
Yes.
I'm reading out that I personally think could deserve to be higher.
Yeah, I
There
love
is-
Robbie Williams.
Absolute. I mean, The Immaculate Collection by Madonna. Okay, I'll give it. Oh shit, I missed Urban Hymns by The Verve. That was number 8.
Okay.
I'm going to fill in these blanks. Gold, ABBA's Greatest Hits, number 9. Falling Into You, Celine Dion. Very Best of Elton John. The Bodyguard soundtrack. Simply the Best by Tina Turner. Best of George Michael.
Fucking hell.
I've been oh no, I've done that. Colour of My Love by Celine Dion. And Carry On Up the Charts. The Best of the Beautiful South. Quite good, but like still mum music.
Do you think it is? I'm going to go for. It would be very. Do you think it'd be very different singles chart compared to albums chart?
No.
Where kids less money, you're going to buy singles.
I'll find out. Let me
Adults
see if I can find out.
more likely to buy albums, more expensive, but you're going to invest in the
My
album.
hypothesis is not so much, but there things like that Wet 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 song will feature.
Love is all around.
Yeah. And the Bryan Adams song
Everything
from,
I do it for you.
from Prince of Thieves will
Yeah.
feature as well, which to be fair is also pretty safe family music, isn't it?
Yes.
I can't think of another single which dominated the charts besides some of the stuff that's on there, but
I'm gonna
Mark
give
has
you-
now got facts.
Give you
rather than
my
opinion.
I'm going to try and do my best like Sunday night listen to the chart show rundown. Okay, so it's Like That by Run DMC featuring versus Jason Evans.
Kids.
Spaceman Babylon Zoo at number
Kids.
19. Number 18, and this is probably one of the most adult songs on there. Teletubbies Say Uh-Oh by the Teletubbies.
Oh my god.
Mum's buying 4 kids.
Yes.
Sold 1.1 million
Was that a
copies.
Christmas? No, wasn't it Christmas?
Hello.
number one? No,
It
that was
wasn't.
Mr. Blobby was a Christmas
I
number, wasn't it?
love the Teletubbies when I was a kid.
Number 17, Heartbeat / Tragedy by Steps. Number 16, Think
Good.
Twice by Celine Dion. Number 15, been spending most of his life there. It's Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio.
Kids.
Yes.
Number 14, Never Ever by All Saints. Number
It's a
13,
bit of both.
Killing Me Softly by the Fugees.
Yes.
That's going to be more.
No, a bit of
A
both.
bit of both. Yeah. Okay.
Number 12, Wannabe by the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
yeah.
Number 11, this one has been sinking ever since. My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion.
Good one.
That's Titanic's fault.
Da, 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 da.
Number 10, I Will Always
Now,
Love
hang
You
on.
by...
In between 11 and 10, you need to have another musical break.
Oh, yeah. Number 10, I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston.
Mum.
The Bodyguard soundtrack, until I think possibly recently, was the biggest selling American album of all time.
Right.
Might even still be there. Number 9, I'll Be Missing You, Puff Daddy and Faith Evans
kids.
featuring 112.
What?
New information.
Okay.
Number 8, Baby One More Time with Britney Spears.
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Number 7, he only did it for one person. It was you, Brian Adams. Everything I do it for you.
Yeah.
Number 6, well, this is Ensemble, so Perfect Day. I think that was Charity. Wasn't it?
Oh yeah. I remember. Fuck yeah, I remember that one.
It was Charity, but it was kind of Charity because it was in Trainspotting. Like, it was brought back into the consciousness by Trainspotting.
It's
Yes,
Red Nose Day
exactly
one,
right.
wasn't it?
Yeah, but Lou Reed's original version was on the Trainspotting
Yeah.
soundtrack. Then they did this cover. Number 5, Believe by Cher. Number 4, Barbie Girl by Aqua.
yes.
Oh, but maybe. But
Tragically, it had universal appeal, didn't it?
apparently, Mattel tried to sue Aqua for that song.
Because it was raunchy.
No, because Barbie.
Oh. And it was raunchy.
No. And apparently, the judge told both parties to chill.
Yes.
Direct
that is
quote.
the best.
Yeah.
Oh.
The,
is
the
the
judge
best.
was like, guys, chill.
Oh my god. Best
Judge
judge.
ever.
Judge Reiner.
Number
That's who it was.
Yeah.
number 3, Love Is All Around by Wet Wet Wet. Number 2, Explains. Number 6 in the album chart is Unchained Melody / There'll Be Bluebirds Over the White Cliffs of Dover by Robson and Jerome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And number 1 explains another album that was in the top 20, which is Candle in the Wind 1997
Ooh, right.
/
Okay.
Something About the Way You Look Tonight by Elton John.
So,
But here's an interesting fact: it sold more than 3 million copies more than the number 2. And
Wow,
number
fucking
2. So the difference
Jesus.
between number 20 and number 2 is 800,000 copies, and then the difference between 2 and number 1 is 3 million.
that's insane.
Oh.
So the context of that was the death of Princess Diana,
Diana.
wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
There was
sad.
certain, there were more. I think my theory held a little bit of ground,
It did a little.
but
There was
still
more. There was more youth vote in that.
I
Yeah.
knew a lot more
because I could
of
buy a
that
single.
than the album one. Like almost every song I recognised on that list.
I think like the thing that blows my mind is there's no Nirvana.
Yeah.
There's
No Blur.
No Blur.
But Nirvana then, like, looking back on it, were like, obviously they were modern classics, but back then it's still like just grunge.
No. It was Smells Like Teen Spirit was a pop phenomenon.
Really?
Oh yeah, it was huge.
Okay.
Green Day in there either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big omission.
But the thing that surprises me about Nevermind is it had 9 years to sell because it came out in 91, whereas some of the albums on that list.
That's a
came
really
out
good point
in
because a lot
98.
of people missed grunge and then went back and then rebought.
Yeah.
And in a whole album where the medium didn't really change, did it? Wasn't taken over by streaming sales or anything like that. You could buy that CD. You could see it in the shop all the time.
The only thing I could think that might explain it, and I can speak to this, is that I bought a copy of Dookie by Green Day and I'd go round to Tom Gordon's house and we'd listen to it, and he didn't buy it. So I wonder if there was a lot of that.
Bring your copy of Dookie round.
yeah.
You
sort
would
of-
pirate material.
no, I'd just bring my copy and press play on another player.
Okay.
Although there was always a line, wasn't there, about be careful about public broadcasting. But we didn't charge anyone to come round to Tom Gordon's house, did we?
No, I mean, technically, it was against the rules, but there's a lot of things that are against the rules that happen these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could easily have like tape recorded it. But yeah, some of the things, I mean, I
My
remember
mum
when
really loved Green Day.
But
Yeah.
then I just don't know how many people bought the albums. And
Dookie, do you know where Dookie was on the album charts?
it stops at number 20. It kind of invalidates what I was trying to do, which was to find where the things that I'm thinking were missing actually were, if that makes sense. But yeah, I
But what about late 90s? Because I don't know. I don't know if this is proven, but was many of that later in the decade?
I was surprised. So number 1, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let me just put so every one that I'm going to list in the numbers is over past 95 or onwards.
Okay.
So 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 15, 18. So nearly half of them were late-ish 90s.
So it didn't have the residual sales. It just didn't seem as iconic later in the 90s either. But like that may be when things changed personally for me.
I was iconic.
You were iconic.
I was iconic in the late 90s. That's what changed.
Did you sell? Oh, it doesn't tell you how many you sold.
Something else you need to take into account. I didn't buy a lot of music in the 90s. I would record it off of the radio.
Yeah,
onto my
that's-
cassette player.
That's a fair point. They're like, especially when it comes to singles, probably a lot of people would have got their music.
But that would have been a common denominator. We all were doing that.
Yeah.
So when you stack them up against each other, the
So the
buying
kids,
habits.
the kids were going, I'm going to record this, while the mum's going, I don't know how to record this onto my tape. I'm going to go out and buy it.
I have some discretionary income I can buy. That probably is true. Or we do
I
what
bet
you
now
were
the
describing and
charts-
borrow off each other.
The charts
Yeah.
is all going to be a younger fan base. You're not going to get the high sales on the. I mean, no, you probably still would get relatively high sales on the artists that reach to the mature listener. But now it's going to be it's all downloads, it's all streaming, which is
Yeah.
going to be the younger audience. It's going to be very different.
To me, the charts are a joke these days because the playing thing is nonsense. I know they have to integrate it because it changed the way we listen to music, but like we still listen to music that we didn't own via the radio back in the day, like you said, like recording it off of it, but that didn't count as a play. So like technically the way it works, if you had 2 million people listening to this track, then that should count like back in the 90s. But now you can sit there and play a song through the night while you go to bed to
Yeah.
get someone like higher up in the charts, and that's
Yeah.
been known to happen. I can't remember who it was. Somebody put out, like before they realized they were doing it, they were putting out like 5 seconds of silence and then
Yeah.
getting their fans to play it on repeat all through the night so they could earn money from it.
Also,
Wow, really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Lil Nas X, the guy who did Old Town Road with Billy Ray Cyrus, did a competition. I think it was like the person to stream that song the most through Spotify won a prize. So you can imagine if loads of artists are doing that, like whoever streams my song the most wins something. Imagine how many people are going to be streaming that song.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
No, it's nefarious, right? It's
Yeah.
like that's not true. That then people are seeing because on Spotify.
That's not someone listening to the song because they want to listen to the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when you go on Spotify, it comes up like how many listens in a month or a day. That's going to skew the numbers very heavily.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the sales numbers are a joke, and it's not helping younger, like smaller artists.
What I miss from the 90s about music was a combination of a bit of TV and music, was things like TFI Friday, when you would come home and get a bit of Friday feeling, and you would be excited about a show that picked certain artists that would come, and it would feel like a big deal. You know, when one of the artists that you liked were on, you'd be like, I have to get home, I need to watch TFI Friday
Yeah.
tonight, or Top of the Pops, or whatever it happens to be. It doesn't seem to be that sense. I'm really now about to sound really old, but because of how consumable and readily available music is, it apart from a live gig or a festival, it almost feels like just confectionery.
We talked about it
Yeah.
with cartoons. Well, cartoons had a set time that they were
Yeah.
on, and that's when you would watch it. But now, with Netflix or whatever, the kids can watch whatever they want when they want.
Yeah.
There's not that excitement that, whoa, I gotta get back from school after Blue Pete. No, after Blue Peter was Neighbours. You go like, I'm gonna miss Grange Hill.
Yeah.
You know, there was that one time that it was on.
Which
And
then,
that was it.
Which then fed the conversation the next day when you go back to school,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
water
yeah.
cooler chat, wasn't it? Did you see this episode? You kind of get it with like things dropping on Netflix, and then everyone will talk about it.
And
But
then
there's
it's
so much now that
Yeah.
people are just like, "Have you watched this? No, I haven't watched that. Have you watching this? No, I'm not watching
There's
that one. Are you watching
no-
it? No, it's insane now."
like, yeah, so like that's like obviously leaking over into the noughties. Like, as a kid, like you'd feel that each day of the week had a particular feeling to the media that you knew was about to come around, and you don't have that anymore. So it's like everyone is untethered to just like that was almost like something that brought people together.
There's an interesting thing as well is like, when do you ever remember standing in school and going, "Oh, spoiler"?
Yeah, spoilers.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
weren't a
that
thing.
word wasn't even really
Yeah.
in existence. The only time I like the internet produced the word and the
Sixth Sense.
the aspect of it. Like, well, mine
That was
came
the
back
first
from Buffy.
spoiler thing for me. Was Sixth Sense. That was the first major spoiler.
Well, that's
was
just
Sixth
rookie.
Sense.
That's rookie error, though, isn't it? 'Cause you should have just gone to the cinema like I did.
Well,
on
no,
the
but
first
that's
night.
that's to me is what that's the first major spoiler thing that came out for me was Sixth Sense, where it was like he was dead all along. Sorry, I should have given a spoiler alert. Bruce Willis is dead
I
all
think
along.
we're past the line. Okay, that seems like a really good point to move on to movies then. So what I've got now is the actual, instead of the UK this time, I've got what I was looking for from music, which is the worldwide top 5 box office movies of the 90s. I won't get you to guess this time.
Because I know
Yes.
straight away.
Do you actually?
I think that, no, I don't think there'll be anything that surprises you, but
Fiver in it says you can't do it.
one of them was a bit of a, like, oh yeah, to me.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so number 5 is Independence Day. Oh, there's a good thing about this section. It can be a bit quicker because we don't have to talk about one of the films.
Yeah.
So yeah, number 5 is Independence Day.
Okay.
I'll start about with Independence Day. Independence Day does the Titanic thing. Went to the cinema, watched it, came out. Oh, me and mate watched the preview. So when we won tickets from Orchard FM, so it was like a week before it came out. So we were like, "Oh god, this film's amazing! Everyone has to go and see it," which is exactly what they went for, to give away tickets. And then I got it on video and I watched it and I loved it. And then a few years later, I watched it on special edition DVD. And when I watched it, I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
I like Independence Day.
And I
Shut your mouth.
wish
We're
it-
pointing at each other now.
if it had stayed
With their dicks.
Mine's smaller.
if it had stayed in the cinema in my head, which I've still got some films. Oh, Avatar's a notable one. I've only ever seen Avatar in the cinema.
Yeah, me too.
I don't ever need to deconstruct it. I don't need to ever listen to anyone's deconstruction of it or bullshit about it, because it sits at its elevated level that I left the cinema with. I never need to look back on it and say, "Oh, wait, hang on, that was wrong." I never need to watch it. I could watch it. It could be amazing again, which I actually kind of think it might be. But I probably will leave it in the cinema forever because of a few things like this one, like Independence Day. So yeah, I actually genuinely really dislike Independence Day now. I think when I watch some of the scenes, like I find nostalgically, I find Brent Spiner, who played Data in Star Trek, his mad scientist
Yeah.
scene is still like one of my favorites. But yeah, the stupidity.
I've never seen Independence
Is
Day.
it like the uploading of the virus and stuff?
It's nearly
Because alien
everything.
technology is
Will
hacked
Smith-
by a MacBook.
It's Will Smith punching out an alien. It's the Americans they've gone and done it. Like then they
there
cut
is
to the
that.
British people who
Where-
basically were RAF pilots
Yeah,
in
we're
World
like
War II.
biplanes.
Yeah, they're like with their giant like bush moustaches, and they're like, "Oh, by Jove, the Americans have gone and done it."
And then like the Middle Eastern countries are just waving sticks, going,
waving sticks, yeah.
Yes, that
let's
part
just
is
say just
that
so,
part
like-
is problematic.
There is that part in that you can. All right, okay. I'm going to pick apart this film now a little bit, where they're all cheering the aliens being defeated, and everyone's in daylight, going, "Yeah!" It's like, well, time zones. It would be nighttime
Yeah,
in that
they
country.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's a tiny little detail that you should have thought about.
It's Joel Schumacher, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else did he direct?
Of Robin, Batman and Robin fame.
Batman and Robin.
Okay, all right. But I saw Independence Day.
No, it's Roland Emmerich.
Oh, was it? What else?
Yeah.
He directed Godzilla, didn't he? The
Yes.
remake of Godzilla. Left
Well, the
Side.
first one or the second one?
The first one.
Oh, the first one. Okay,
Puff
alright.
Daddy Jamiroquai one.
Oh, that one.
Daddy
Okay.
one. That's right. That's how you
That's
describe
how
it.
it's
Is.
known now.
The Gotcha one.
Tim and I went to America when we were
15.
I would have been 13, 14, I think. And that I saw Independence Day in America.
So did I.
Did you go to the cinema with us?
No, I went with the person I was staying with, whose dad.
I think
was
I
a
came
cameraman.
with you because I was making out, because that's an American term. That's what I was doing. Making out with a girl in the car on the way there. And then
Great work.
I saw that. but when I saw in the day,
He
I
was
was
actually
like,
driving
oh,
as well.
I was like, oh no, she's not very attractive. But then when we were in the cinema, it was dark again, so it was fine. So it didn't matter. And then, yeah, that was my Independence Day experience, was
Yeah.
macking off with an American girl.
And it was a really full cinema full of like jingoistic Americans.
Yeah,
wasn't
they
it?
were
So you
like-
couldn't help but get carried away a little
whooping
bit.
and cheering. And, woo! Yeah! America! Woo!
USA, USA.
And that was back in the day when, like, we got back, and it wasn't, Independence Day wasn't going to come out in the UK for weeks
We felt
before
really,
we got
felt really
back.
cool. Didn't we?
Yeah, we were like,
It
yeah,
came out
yeah,
in
we-
late August. over here.
We've already seen this film. Yeah, we're cool.
For the Roland Emmerich rundown, just he just seemed to be very hit and miss. So, but outside of his early B movie stuff, which looks amazing and I want to see, including Hollywood Monster, Universal Soldier, which is good, Stargate, which is really good, Independence Day, Godzilla, The Patriot with Mel Gibson, The Day After Tomorrow, which is one of my favorite disaster movies.
I love the day after
Gets picked
tomorrow.
apart so much, but I like it.
It's
Yeah.
It's a good
terrifying.
film.
It's terrifying.
10,000 BC, which I haven't seen, but I've heard is
Is that the one that's
pretty
all
crap.
in like another language?
Yeah. 2012, which is one of my other favorite disaster films, which again is a terrible disaster movie. No, it's a terrible film. Amazing disaster movie.
Can we just go back to
That film.
the BC one?
No.
Okay. No, I know someone that watched the pirated copy of it that didn't have the subtitles. So they just watched the entire film in whatever language it
Grunts and
yeah, and they were like, I didn't really get it. And
Oh,
it's like,
no.
well, there were meant to be subtitles there for you. But yeah, just watch the whole film in grunts and.
the next one sounded amazing when I saw the poster and the trailer for it. Which, funnily enough, I saw when I went to watch Lion King in 3D, and I have no idea why I remember that particular fact. And ties very nicely into last week. It's called Anonymous, and it's about Shakespeare not writing his plays.
Boo!
Conspiracy.
Which I never saw, but it
Boo.
got really badly reviewed. White
Good.
House Down.
Is that like?
Angel has fallen.
Yeah, is that like?
It's Channing Tatum and
Tatum
Jamie
one,
Foxx, and Jamie Foxx is the
Oh.
president.
Oh fuck! Yes, I've seen that one.
Jamie
It's
Foxx
amazing.
is the
I actually don't
president.
mind that film. I
Yeah,
think it's
mainly
pretty,
because I have a
pretty
little bit of a
fun.
man crush on Channing Tatum.
And then Stonewall, and then Independence Day Resurgence, which is
Yes, I
apparently
think
terrible.
hit and miss was a
Yeah.
fair representation.
So that's Independence Day. Do you like it?
I've
Oh,
never
you've
seen
never seen it.
You've never seen
have you
Independence
have you
Day?
watched it since you watched it in America?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you like it?
I was never I was carried away that day when we saw it in America. I watched it again and I was thoroughly bored.
No. The president's speech in that film, the tone, the rhythm of it, the tone of it, everything. It is such an uplifting speech. I'm not American, but when the president gives his speech in that film, when it's like it's like the Churchill, We'll fight him on the beaches. We'll fight him in the air. It is just that uplifting. You at the end of it, you are like, "Fuck yeah, let's do this."
There are
shit.
great moments in that film.
Yeah.
It is surrounded by another 2 hours of pretty average B-movie entertainment.
The dog green screen bit where it's jumping through the flames, getting into the tunnel, that doesn't hold up. That never held up well. And
Okay, the president's speech.
yeah.
Every speech, just like a story, has peaks and troughs.
Yes.
And the opening paragraph is always the most important. It's the one that grips you. Good morning. In less than an hour, aircraft from here will join others around the world, and you will be launching the largest aerial battle in this history of mankind. That's not a good opening to a speech.
Good morning.
Aircraft from here.
Also, the grammar in that is
No,
really-
I'm going to argue that.
Mankind. That word should have new meaning for all of us today. So what you're saying is you're racist. You're all racist, and now you should think of yourselves as one person because we've got aliens coming. So
Yes.
think about it.
Think about
We can't
that.
be consumed by our petty differences anymore. So again, aliens. That's what's made you think that. We will be united in our common interests. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. That's enough. Wait,
No,
hang on.
that's
It's
true.
really short.
Because that implies that he didn't care about this stuff before Aliens.
That's it. That's what united the world was a common enemy.
That's bad.
I don't care. It worked.
Some more beats.
Yeah, that's called populism.
some more beats. We will not go quietly into the night. Yeah, good one. Never heard that one before.
All right, Shane, yeah. fine.
We will not vanish without a fight. We are going to live on. We are going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day. America, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fireworks, flag raises.
They tried to do it in the second film and it didn't
Wait,
work.
did Will Smith say that?
No,
that was
the president.
Bill Pullman.
Oh, I just thought because there was a bit of a rap.
Will
there.
Smith said, "Welcome to Earth," after he punched an alien in the face.
Yeah.
And then doesn't he pull out a massive cigar?
Yeah, he has a big
Yeah.
cigar in his... Oh, no.
And then walks like
No, he has
300 miles back to the
Yeah.
airbase
Yeah.
carrying the alien.
Dragging it behind him in a parachute, doesn't he?
Don't
And he
watch it.
occasionally stops and kicks it, accusing it of smelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favourite invasion movie is War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise.
I saw that twice at the cinema. I don't necessarily agree with it being
And
the best,
it's
but I
really
enjoyed
fun
it.
because the aliens die stupidly because of human
Like someone
diseases.
turns on like a microwave. or
Yeah, but
something,
that
and
was
it kills them
the
all.
original. It was always bacteria. And to be fair, that's what's going to fuck somebody over is bacteria.
Was that movie 90s? No, that was
No, it was 2000s. And again, this isn't 90s, and so I'll go really quickly through it. It's not as stupid as Signs. Right? That's enough
yeah,
about that.
Why would an alien species invade a planet that's 80% water
Oh,
when
yeah.
they're allergic to water? Why would you do
What's
that?
that blue stuff? I don't know. Let's go and find out. Oh, no!
That burns!
so dumb.
You said Leroy! You know he doesn't like water. Stupid film. And I will never forgive Joaquin Phoenix for it. And I said that the other day.
Wacky.
All right.
Right,
Sorry.
Number 4, Lion King. And I don't think we really need to talk about this too much because it is a master. Oh, the only thing we need to talk about is the fact that it shouldn't have been remade into a live action film.
No,
But
absolutely
I've not seen it. Is it?
I've heard it's
alright?
nothing special.
the overriding thing is it's inoffensive. It didn't need to be
Why?
made.
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
I've heard it actually takes away the emotion because, like, in the cartoon version, like, when Simba is sad, you can see Simba is sad because he's a cartoon lion and his eyes are expressive. But,
Somebody
like,
said that about Hakuna Matata. It's
Yeah.
like, no, nothing's better than the cold, dead eyes
of an animal.
of a warthog singing Hakuna Matata.
But, like, someone described it like when Simba's sad, like when his dad dies in that movie, and like when Mufasa has fallen and little Simba, like, pads up to him, like, in the animated film, it's like a big close up of his face, and he's like. In this film, it's like his mouth is just open a little in like Pikachu shock, because he can't like a lion wouldn't express like that.
No.
Not like a cartoon would.
Yeah, so you can't show the emotion. It's just like, oh no.
And it's a good way to introduce your kid to Shakespeare as well.
I think
It's Hamlet, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that no one's going to argue with that or like have any dissenting opinions about Lion King.
It's classic.
Number 3 is the one that surprised me, and it's only because it came so late in the decade, which is Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace.
Sorry, that was sound of me being physically sick at a
What?
terrible film.
He's been drinking, ladies
What's
and
your
gentlemen.
problem?
Wait, hang
Right.
on a second. No, just rewind. Remember, he liked Independence Day, and just go from there.
I'm the same as Mark. I left Phantom Menace from the cinema being like, yeah, that was awesome. And then I watched it back and I didn't like it.
I don't know. I think many people have been marred by the zeitgeist of hating the prequels.
The litmus test for Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace has come from me talking to people who watched that as that was their Star Wars introduction, and they love it. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was supposed to do. The film wasn't for me and it wasn't for you.
No.
It was for those people who were going to watch it for the first time, and it worked. And like, I was really shocked when I was at Screwfix and I was talking about Jar Jar Binks. I was like, like everyone hates him. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, Jar Jar Binks. Everyone fucking hates Jar Jar Binks. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He genuinely knew nothing about it. And I was like, well, that goes to show you what the power of the internet can do, because the internet was already growing at the time, can do for something that doesn't actually, only adults hated him as a combined thing. And these days, the people that grew up as a youngster,
yeah.
he was their C-3PO or R2-D2. He was their comedy relief. And so, I think the opinion of Phantom Menace is split by the people who were too old to watch it and the people who watched it through the right eyes, I think. And then there's me.
A lot of people diss the pod racing scene. I love the pod racing scene.
Now this is
I don't think a lot of people do.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I've heard people slag off the pod racing.
I've heard a
scene.
lot of people who hate the film say that sequence is still
The pod
amazing.
racing scene, that was incredible.
And Battle
in
of
that
the
film.
Fates. Is that the Duel of the Fates? The
Jewel of
Oh,
Fates,
well,
yeah.
yeah. Where
That
it's
soundtrack.
Darth Maul against Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
because I think
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
it's the name of the piece of music. It's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
what we refer to as that sequence as well.
Yeah.
I mean that's right up there in the whole of the saga.
That's
in
John
terms
Williams
of-
just
Yeah.
fucking
yeah, but it's also a great piece of action cinema as well. It's
Yeah, I really love how in the teaser for Rise of Skywalker they actually included clips from the prequels, because I know that Disney were like kind of trying to be like at first, but then people were like, no, we're actually okay
of the
now.
three, Phantom Menace is highest, and then it gets worse with the following two.
I've got
The
lots of
Reve-
issues with
like
Attack of the
Revenge of the
Clones.
Sith and Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
where-
if when I rank them, Attack of the Clones is the lowest, but Revenge of the Sith is high.
really,
Oh, I love Revenge of the Sith, and you'll find people who say, well, you'll actually find a subsection of people who say Attack of the Clones is their favorite, but I don't know if they're just being like a obsequious. But then you'll find a lot of people that say Revenge of the Sith is their favorite, like a lot. It is tonally what a lot of people look for in Star Wars.
Yeah, it's a little darker.
A little.
Yeah.
He slays children
younglings.
with his glowing sword.
goes
That
proper
scene,
all right, yeah, okay.
But we're talking about 90s. So
Are they
Yeah.
still? Are they? Or is that getting into 2000?
Oh yeah, well this is 99. That's why I was surprised it was on the list. But then it was
we're right.
it was huge when it came out, so it doesn't.
Although
it doesn't
I just can't I just want to say that scene is very unintentionally comedic to me.
which
Which
one?
bit?
When he lights up his lightsaber and the little kid's like, and then it just
On that as a meme face. Can you
That's
take that?
really good. I still say to this day, but despite all the internet's best efforts to make it a meme, I still think that piece of acting by that kid is brilliant. I honestly think that they did something, because he, like, for a tiny little kid to react that way, there's like a really too subtle piece of acting from that kid. There's the face on him, but then there's like a little step. But it's been memed, but
yeah.
it's been memed, so it's changed in your mind.
Yeah,
Like,
it has.
When I watched it, I was like, I still remember, because I think we watched it at midnight. Well, was it? No, Attack of the Clones we watched at midnight. I think I watched Revenge of the Sith. I still remember when that descent, as that happens, like that moment where it descends. I remember like my body feeling weird. Like it was so well done that I was like, it was goosebumps, I guess.
I think for me, the comedy doesn't come from the meaning of it. It comes from the fact that it is really sad. Like, I don't know how else to react because he's in a room full of younglings and he's like, they're all just stood there and he's gonna, and it just cuts away, and it's just like, it's just, how do you handle that without
With sadness and not laughter.
I think one of the issues I got with, if we're talking the 90s and Phantom Menace, but throughout all of them, the acting is so average. There's some notable exceptions in certain scenes and certain actors, but some of the horrendous cheesy acting across all of it, almost when sequences like that do work well, I'm thinking back to, you know, the discussion around sand and stuff like that, and it's I almost can't take Hayden Christensen, is that?
Yeah.
I just can't take his performance as seriously as I should do, even in that moment, which I think is handled relatively well.
I think that's always been a George Lucas problem, and
Getting
not
the best out of actors.
Let's just put this on the shelf and save it for a Star Wars special.
Okay.
Because there's a lot to unpack. And yeah, George Lucas is notoriously the one that's at fault because his
Louder.
faster, more intensity was his stage direction. Like it's like
yeah.
his catchphrase, and I think that that says a lot about it. But
Like-
yeah, we can
Yeah.
unpack it down the line.
But yeah, just like as an example, like seeing Mark Hamill like in that documentary we watched trying to read the audition lines, or like when they're doing the read through, and one of the lines is just so like complex and stupid, and it's like that's not how normal people talk, but he thinks it's kind of romanticized in his head, but it's not.
Lift.
All right, what's next?
TV.
No, we've got two more films to go.
Oh,
well,
fuck
we've got
me.
one more film technically to go.
Let's do it.
Right.
Right, I'm done.
Number two. Again, no arguments I can see on this one. Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Basically a
Incredible.
masterpiece and a pioneer of CG technology.
I've got a little
great score again.
brass fact about Jurassic Park. Very small one. Do you know how they made the T-Rex sound?
Was it one of those tubes that you spin around?
Nope.
How is that?
Crushing cars.
It was
Was it a
the
goose noose?
sound of a Jack Russell tugging on a rope slowed down.
Oh.
Really.
Yeah.
That is a great fact.
Why didn't they just get a T-Rex?
T-Rex discrimination.
No, I meant the band.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Jack Russell on a rope slowed down.
I think with Jurassic Park, besides the action and so on that builds in the second half of the film, the sense of wonder in the first half of the film, it's just it just takes you to another place, doesn't it? It's what cinema should do. You just go, makes you feel things that no other medium can do.
From my experience of Jurassic Park, it was the ultimate. It will never be beaten in cinema experience, no matter how many fucking inches they add to the screen, no matter how many vibrations they put into the seat, what direction the speakers are coming from. 1994, got into the queue at 12, wasn't let into the cinema until
queuing down
4
the
o'clock.
road
Massive.
to get there.
We made it to second in the queue, and we heard like reports of it like going, trying to think how far it would have been, but at least like 500 meters, like, and we knew that there were going to be people that were going to be getting turned away, and like that wasn't the last time I was ever in a queue, but it's probably the last time I would have ever been in a queue that actually was trying to get their tickets on the day, and then going in, and you've got that queue, so everyone's hyped to as much as you can get as a British person. In America, they would have their heads would have just popped as soon as the Universal logo comes up. But like, yeah, so that was kind of like, for me, it was like the last gasp efforts of cinema to be as hyped as it possibly can, because there was no internet to put the tickets. It was the highest echelon of blockbuster.
Special place in my heart as well, because one of the two ever cinema trips I had were just me and my dad. So it was kind of like a very poignant thing as well, that I experienced that with my old man, which was a really nice moment for me. The other one was not quite so good. It was a film called Dennis, which is the American
I went to
version.
Bristol to watch Dennis.
Yeah. So it was a bit of Dennis the Menace, but I think there's also an American
It was the American
character,
one.
character like that.
Wait, it was a
And it had Christopher
Dennis.
Lloyd in it. who did a
Yeah.
big fart on the fire after eating a load of beans.
After eating beans, yes.
And my dad, who had a very childish sense of humour, I think you would have got on with him pretty well. He just went, ha, 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 in the cinema, and everyone else was like,
Yeah. my mum took a group of kids. Again, I think she won the tickets to go and see it, and like it was on everyone's wavelength, and everyone that I still, that's why I remember it was beans. I like not only the fact that it's a massive ripple for Blazing Saddles, but like everyone just lost their absolute, funny enough, shit. It was the American remake of Dennis the Menace.
Oh my god!
But the cartoon was really good. It had Mr. Wilson as the next door neighbor.
Yeah.
But the film was not the greatest.
no, it's not on this list.
No, it's not. But speaking of what is on this list, it's Titanic, and so we've got about an hour. But like amazingly, we ended this talk about Jurassic Park with talk about cartoon from the 90s, which brings us on past Titanic onto TV. And I actually did a top 5 of cartoons from the TV. So our TV isn't going to be all 90s films at TV. It's
Just
gonna be
cartoons, 90s cartoons.
just 90s cartoons.
Okay.
Just 90s cartoons. So yeah, cartoons from the 90s, except for one. These ones are explicitly ones that aired in the 90s, except for one. So number 5 is Hey Arnold.
Okay. Football head.
Love it.
Football head. Now I've got
Love
the
it.
years next to them
Don't
as
remember
well.
Tim's shaking his head. Do you not remember Hey Arnold?
No.
Nah.
The guy with like
He had an
blonde
American
tufts of
football shaped
hair.
head. His head went to points at an end, and he had like little ears and a blonde hair and a cap.
And his friend.
Oh,
His friend had like large hair.
not
Yeah.
not a fan, as in not that I don't like it.
They used to sit on a stoop.
What did they do in Hey? I remember Hey Arnold.
They
but I
used to
don't
hang
remember
around
what
like
they
a
did.
New York block, like a New York sort of
shooting some
hood.
meatballs.
Yeah, definitely. They were actually doing that, but like it was a real New York set urban place, and they didn't sit on the stoop. There was a kid that sat on the stoop. His name was Stoop Kid. But even, it was big enough to get a movie. I mean, not many Nickelodeon cartoons didn't get a movie, but like Hey Arnold got one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
It was just.
I liked
wholesome.
Hey Arnold,
Yeah.
but I was never like
I remember
obsessed
it.
with it.
Yeah,
I
wasn't-
really enjoyed that show.
It was good. I think I actually think it played better later down the line. I think it might have been a little ahead of its time. And the next one is not good for me at all, because I didn't really watch it. And the next one, number 4, is Animaniacs
Oh, I loved anime.
from 1993. Hey Arnold was 96, by the way. So yeah, Animaniacs from
I watched a bit of
1993.
Animaniacs. Had the video
Yeah, I
game as
liked
well.
Animaniacs.
My biggest takeaway from Animaniacs is Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember Pinky in the Brain.
Because weren't they like trapped in the Warner Brothers lot or something? When there was something to do, because I'm sure Pinky and the Brain would come out of the water tower.
Yeah.
I know the theme tune, but I really don't know that much about it.
No, actually, I'm doubting myself now.
It was the kids. Oh, was it the
You're not thinking of Looney Tunes.
I was thinking of Looney Tunes.
because Looney Tunes were they the
Like the
child versions?
Yeah, of Bugs
They weren't
Bunny.
the kids of Looney Tunes.
No, they
were
were-
child versions of
Yeah.
Looney Tunes.
Oh yeah.
The Animaniacs were
Animaniacs, like the main characters were like cats or something.
yeah.
You'll know it if you.
totally insane.
Oh wait, I know what this is.
Yeah, that's the main characters. They look like kind of.
Yes,
Cats.
I remember
Yeah.
this. Yes,
I
okay.
did enjoy
It was-
Animaniacs, but like you
Yeah,
said,
look, they lived in the water tower.
yeah,
Yeah.
Pinky and the Brain was the highlight of that show.
Oh yeah, they had their own
Those
like
guys.
little show.
Yeah,
Like Pinky and the Brain, like they weren't. I don't think they were necessarily part of it. They had their own little side gig going on. But yeah, I don't know if it's the same with everyone. But I think most people remember Pinky and the Brain more than the actual Animaniacs. I actually think, because I remember number 3. I remember doing this on another episode, and everyone was just like, "Nah, didn't watch it."
let's try it. Come on.
Batman the Animated Series,
Yes.
1992.
Incredible.
I wasn't even alive.
I think it's. I mean, technically, you weren't when Hey Arnold was,
No, I wasn't.
but
It was where Batman's head just got fatter into his neck
Yeah.
and then onto his shoulders, and he just the squarest jaw and just a slit for a mouth because he was hardcore.
I'll say the same thing I probably said last time. Like, it was pioneering. It was probably behind a lot of things that Christopher Nolan did with The Dark Knight, and that seems really strange. But like the darkness that they injected into the kids show allowed Batman to be dark going forward, because that's what people got used to. Harley Quinn wouldn't have existed without it, which is insane to think about.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill is still the best Joker.
Yeah.
Like, even though like he was never on screen, like he was the best Joker. And the Mask of the Phantasm, which is set between series 1 and 2, is probably the best Batman film that's ever been made. But again, nobody will have seen it because for some reason I actually know why this faded into obscurity. For some reason, Warner Brothers wouldn't release. They released series 1 and 2, but not 3 and 4, and only in HMV, and you couldn't buy it anywhere else.
Oh, really?
And so like it got taken off of syndication. It used to be on kids' TV all the time. I don't know if it just was too dark, because like Tom and Jerry faded away, and Roadrunner wasn't shown that much. So things that were considered too dark got taken away. Number 2 is The Simpsons. Now, it started in '89,
Yep.
and it's still going now. But we all know that the 90s were where it thrived,
Yes.
and where everyone's memories of it still sit.
Yeah.
Most of the classic moments came from, what was it, seasons 3 through 6, 7, 8?
I think it was there's a really interesting thing on YouTube where someone theorizes that the day it died is when Principal Skinner was revealed to not be Principal Skinner.
Yeah.
There's like an interesting theory that from that moment on everything changed, but that's probably complete and utter nonsense, and it actually probably coincides with Conan O'Brien stopping writing, because he was one of the masterminds of the writing team.
Yeah, I have a really vivid memory of like one, because on my dad's side of the family, like my aunts and uncles were like, I was born when they were all quite young, like teenagers, so they always like, you know, take me in their car and I'd listen to Evanescence or like watch The Simpsons with them.
Saw Evanescence live and just
Yeah, I
Yes.
was very jealous. Very jealous.
that was 9. No, but that was 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, I remember like my uncle like letting me watch The Simpsons, and I think it was a film, and there's a scene of Bart and Homer in the woods wearing leaf.
That's the first episode.
Yes.
It's Call of the Simpsons.
Yeah, and then they're like trying to catch a rabbit.
Yep.
That's
Sorry, I'm just remembering the rabbit where it just
shoots off the
Flying off into the distance.
because that episode's amazing, because they go to the RV sales outlet, don't
Yeah.
they? The guy he's like, okay, Mr. Simpson's just come into the office, and he goes to check the credit, and the alarm goes off. He goes, is that a good siren? He's like, Mr. Simpson, when have you ever heard of a siren being a good thing? I must have watched that episode because it was the first video that was released. I must have watched that episode going into the hundreds of times.
Yeah, that's just like always whenever someone says Simpsons, that's like the thing that's just like there in my mind.
When Homer falls in the mud and comes out, and they think he's the they capture him because they think he's the Yeti, not Yeti. What's the
Bigfoot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
he's doing the walk.
Yeah,
with the-
because he's been stung by bees. He gets stung by bees and then falls in the mud. Yeah, I think that's the first episode. But I think Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire, the Christmas one, was the first one that was aired. So that's the first one
I
in the
didn't
running
know
order.
that
but-
was the first episode.
Because it was on the, it's like the Conan O'Brien show, wasn't it? As
no, it was the oh my god.
Well, it used to be like a skit
It was a skip. And the animation was, where it was shocking. It's
where they're
still-
like they'd be facing that way and their mouths. would
I
be-
And they were like
actually-
kind of- it was almost
I
like
really-
shaking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like that style of animation. Actually, I prefer it to the just maybe because it's nostalgic.
Tracy Ullman show.
Tracy Ullman show. that's it.
I won't give away too many facts because
there will be a Simpsons special coming up.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll have to watch some Simpsons.
brilliant.
So if I give there's a fact about the Tracy Ullman show, and it being on there, and there's like, I mean, again, same way with Star Wars. There's so much to unpack, a lot to unpack. I even started trying to watch. I found out I stopped watching it in season 15, and it's just on season 30 now. I have 15 seasons
Jesus.
to watch.
Wow.
There'll be episodes I've seen, and I've already started watching through, and I've been able to skip one episode. So
We didn't have Sky when I grew up at all. I didn't get Sky until I moved into my own house. Like, my parents didn't have it, so my uncle would record The Simpsons for me onto a videotape and then give it to me. That was the only way I could watch The Simpsons. So those were the episodes that I had with the Domino's Pizza adverts.
Yeah.
Great things
Yeah,
that
that's
were
right.
with them, and it had the controversial episode in there where it was the gun episode.
yeah,
That's hard to watch, that episode.
Yeah, but that was one of the ones that he recorded, was the one where Marge keeps the gun at the end, and
Clearly, we'll take the deep dive into another time.
Yeah.
But it's been in my mind a lot recently because of that line, how clever it is, that line about when Lisa becomes president, about cleaning up after President Trump's mess.
yeah.
And it's just like, these writers, they are, I guess, still, but they have been so smart for
They're-
so long.
Wait,
There
she said
will
that?
be-
In
She
The
becomes
Simpsons?
president. There's an episode where it goes into the future and Lisa becomes president, and there's a line about what we'll have to after cleaning up after President Trump's mess.
Simpsons predicts the future a lot.
I really will just cut it because
Cut,
there's
cut,
Yeah.
stop.
like again, like a teaser for that, and I won't go any further. I didn't, and nobody else saw The Simpsons really until they watched it on BBC Two and Channel 4.
Yeah.
Sky.
I
There
was
was
just
something
gonna
about
say
there was no,
Channel 4.
there was something about watching it on Sky which meant they didn't see it properly. To be continued.
Okay.
Yeah.
Teaser.
So number one, luckily I've crashed my iPad again. Number one is Rugrats.
Yeah. I love
And do you know what? I went
Rugrats.
through 3 different types of lists before I settled on this particular list to use, and on every one of those lists, Rugrats was number one on each one. 1991, it says it started.
Which
Really?
I love.
Have you ever heard the really,
I think I've got the wrong date there.
the dark theory about Rugrats that they're all dead,
Yeah.
and that
No,
Alright.
go on.
what's the girl's name?
Angelica.
Angelica's the only one that's alive,
Yeah.
basically.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, that's a real dark dive into that
The movie.
series.
The movie, is it the
Raptar.
Raptor where like he goes to like kill his brother, or he like goes to like leave him in the rain and the dirt. Do you remember that?
Because, hang on, it was
It-
Tommy. What was Tommy's younger
Dill.
Dill?
Dill
And-
Pickles.
yeah.
No. What were the twins called?
Phil and Lil.
Phil and
Yeah,
Lil. That's
but
why I got
like
confused with
Tommy
Dill,
is like they're trying to find like a wizard or something in the forest because they're lost.
They're busy making T-shirts that have ham.
And
prints
yeah,
with-
and then like he's like sick of Dill, and like, you know, Dill's the new kid, and he like, I just remember like him like lifting like a locket or something and like going to like smash him, and then like it falling open and like seeing the family. I don't know.
Like a Horcrux.
I need to find this.
there's an episode. There's 2 episodes that I think I need to watch it, but it keeps popping up on my YouTube recommendations of like why Rugrats is more genius than you could ever imagine. And like there's 2 episodes that like before watching that I think are genius. It's the one where they think they've gone into the mirror world, where they just run at a mirror and it flips over, and then everything's wrong when they come back out and they think they're in the mirror world. But like anything that they do, they won't believe because they think that the version they're seeing is like the mirror universe version. But like they've literally just run over a mirror. And another one where Chucky has a bad day and messes a load of stuff up, and he tries to run away from home, and his gardening angel comes and finds him and does the whole "It's a Wonderful Life" thing and shows him what would happen if Chucky didn't exist, and it's so good. There's only one thing that I don't like about the Rugrats, and it's not actually the Rugrats. It's the Rugrats all growed up because they made a spin-off series where they grow, and it's like
It's not the point.
that's not the point. There was an episode. There is an episode where they imagine being old, and like that's genius. But like them actually being old, that doesn't work.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
the-
like,
that's not the
that's
point,
the
is
whole
it?
point. Like missed.
No. The thing that made it so good is it was fucking babies. Like,
Yeah.
goo goo gaga, poo poo
Poo poo
pee
pee
pee.
pee.
And so we return to where we started.
So I did cartoons for TV just because I think there's again maybe a whole episode.
Where was Ren and Stimpy?
That was my question.
I can tell you very briefly.
God
I do
damn
have the
it.
link.
But that was niche.
That
wasn't
was
it?
niche, but it was good niche.
Well, this is from that site I used the other day called Ranker, which is actually voted by people. It's not like an opinion of one person. So the votes for Rugrats are 12,000 in favour and 3,000 against. So it's not like a small amount either. Really quickly, DuckTales 6, Tiny Toon Adventure 7, that's the one I was thinking of.
Tiny Toon, yeah.
8, Dexter's Laboratory. These next three I would completely exclude because they had their heyday in the 2000s. South Park, Family Guy, and Futurama.
Yeah, no.
X-Men the animated series should be higher. It's amazing. Powerpuff Girls is 98, but again I think more 2000s.
Yeah, I love
Doug.
girls. Doug.
Doug was 1991 as well.
Doug.
Wow.
Yeah.
Arthur, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is 1987. So I mean, again, I think that had its heyday at the end of the 80s. A bit
Yeah,
of
I
Rickroll.
agree.
SpongeBob, not SpongeBob.
Cat dog.
Johnny Bravo is number 26. On another list I saw, Johnny Bravo was number 3.
Johnny
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ren and
That
Stimpy
shit
is
would
number
never fly
30.
now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's slow down, but
Oh, and Beavis and Butthead's number 32. Do you remember when we watched the movie at
I
the
will
cinema?
never forget, Mark. I will never forget.
That's
TP.
one of the 90s memories that will always stand out, where we laughed so much we literally fell on the floor.
Was that Chili Peppers?
Yeah.
For
Roller
the
coaster.
sound, yeah.
Of love.
Because I was ambivalent about the cartoon on MTV. It was all right, it made me chuckle every now and again. And I think you convinced me to go and watch it at the cinema. I was like, okay, I'll go along. And I was in physical pain almost from about the 15th second it started. I was like, this is brilliant.
I thought I was going to be
Absolutely
sick.
brilliant.
I thought I was going to turn inside out. I was
Yeah,
laughing so hard.
just when it can't get any funnier, it's like you're whacking off in my trailer. it's just by that point, you laugh so much, you just anything will trigger you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he said that, I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm on the floor.
The thing, the brilliance of it, and it's good that it's 90, so this is kind of just round it off. Beavis and Butthead sums it up, doesn't it? Pretty Random Podcast, 90s Beavis and Butthead. What the brilliance of the show is: very clever humor delivered by very clever people, makes you laugh, and then two kids can't stop laughing, and so you are only laughing at what you're supposed to be laughing at. They're still making you laugh because they're just stood there laughing.
Yeah.
And laughter is contagious, and especially when you've got two people going you see what I mean? You just do that, and you just you're watching these. It's just the really subtle animation. Mike Judge is an absolutely genius animator of King of the Hill and Beavis and Butthead, and it's the subtleties of the animation that stand out. You watch King of the Hill, and most of the scenes are four guys drinking beers stood in front of a fence, but it's still some of the funniest things you've ever seen because of the way that those interactions happen and the small things that they do to make you engage with those four people. Mike Judge, we salute you.
That radio I just saluted.
That's the 90s podcast. I am not even kidding. We've been recording for over 3 hours.
I feel like that was really needed.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It was good. I feel it exfoliated.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah.
and I still don't feel like we scraped the surface.
Oh,
we didn't.
so
We
much.
didn't do the David Fincher that we were talking about.
We only did animated TV.
We didn't talk about
animated.
the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
We didn't talk about X-Files.
Oh man!
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I mean. I mean, TV can have its own episode.
We fell
only-
down so many
We only
rabbit
mentioned The
holes.
Matrix in passing, and all
Yeah.
that meant culturally for the end of the century. The
Yeah.
the paranoia around it. So there is more There is more here
There's
to
so
mine.
much more to be like. The 90s is such a fountain of, here's something, but then it's connected to so many other things, and you can just keep talking about that.
I tell you what, the 2000s episode's got a lot to live up to. But yeah, we've done 2 parts on just the 90s. We probably could have done. Well, I think the intro probably could have been 1 episode.
Yeah.
So we could have done 6 episodes at least. But there'll be several things. So we've already said we'll be coming back to The Simpsons as an episode. We'll come back to the Star Wars as an episode. TV as an episode. But there's lots of things that we'll still need to talk about.
Such a good episode.
I think Star Wars will probably be happening around December time because something might be happening with
Yes.
Star Wars around then. I'm not sure.
Really? Is there?
What's
I
that?
don't know.
But yeah, check us out on all the social platforms. Google us, Pretty Random Podcast. Chuck it into Google. It will tell you where to go. You can download us on Spotify. Do that. It's brilliant. Spotify. Ding.
Ding dong.
I've been Mark. You've been Holly.
Hi.
You've been Craig. Hello. And you've been Tim.
Bye.
We've been the Pretty Random Podcast. We'll see you again in, probably next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, no, not next week. Wait a minute, because this is next week's episode. Wait, what?
No, this works because I'm going to have to work 2 episodes.
You get some in the can.
Wow, Craig.
Yeah, this will be...
I fucked it.
What'll be...
Do
I'll
it again.
just fade
Do
you
it
out.
again.
No.